Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Edge by Ascential Amazon monthly briefing for the month of April this year. My name is Jack O'Leary. I'm a senior analyst here at Edge by Ascential on our pure play e-commerce research team, covering all things Amazon and hosting these webcasts on a monthly basis for your audience. I wanted to welcome back repeat listeners and welcome to the event, first-time listeners on the webcast here. It's something we conduct every single month to recap top developments with Amazon and do a deep dive on some key Amazon tactics to help accelerate your business going forward. A couple of key housekeeping points. If you have any questions throughout the webcast, you are on mute, but please feel free to use the Q&A tool within GoToWebinar. At the end, I'll be looking to answer a few of those questions that come through there, and then we'll look to follow up additionally afterwards. Also, on the last slide of this deck, you will be seeing my email address as well as a general Edge by Ascential email address. Please feel free to reach out to either of those if you need any help or have any questions regarding this webcast or further questions about Edge by Ascential. And then finally, there is some poll questions that will come up after I close down the GoToWebinar tool. I would really appreciate any feedback you can give through those poll questions. They really help me optimize this webcast month after month and really make it best suited for our audience's needs. So with that, let's get started. But before we get into the content of today's webcast, I wanted to just let everyone know that in addition to our virtual webinars, we have an awesome schedule of in-person events where you can meet with us and talk all things e-commerce and Amazon. So the first of these events for all our European leaders on the line is the eHackathon event in London. We have two, one on May 8th, one on May 9th. May 8th is an exclusive full-day Amazon-centric masterclass summit. It's focused exclusively on Amazon. And then May 9th is the more omni-channel-centric full-day masterclass summit. Early bird for these events ends tomorrow night, so don't miss your chance to register. You can either reach out to us through any Edge partners you're in contact with or register directly via our website where it's listed under the events tab. And secondly, we had a sellout crowd at our eHackathon event in New York City last week. So we're pleased to announce that we're having another follow-up event for North American e-commerce leaders in Seattle on September 24th. It's open for registration. It's an exclusive full-day Amazon US-centric summit covering a ton of really great Amazon-specific content. And then my personal favorite aspect of the day are the half shop masterclass sessions, where we break out into smaller groups and cover really focused Amazon tactics and strategies to help you extend and grow your business on Amazon. We have a double early bird offer of 20% off these events that ends April 30th. So again, reach out to your Edge partners or go to our website and look at the events tab to get involved and meet with us in person. So with that, let's get into the content of today's webcast. Per usual, we'll be doing a fast look through all of the recent developments that have happened with Amazon from the last month, what we feel are the key implications of those events and how they affect all of our businesses as we interact with Amazon. And then we'll be closing the webcast with a look at some of Amazon's recent moves in terms of packaging certification and shifts around their packaging standards in terms of what is moving through their fulfillment centers going forward. It's really relevant to all manufacturers selling in a 1P basis with Amazon or utilizing Amazon for FBA. So we're excited to kind of do a little bit more of a deep dive into packaging as it pertains to Amazon and e-commerce more generally. So with that, we have a lot of content to get through, so let's jump in. So looking at the recent developments since we last spoke in the last Thursday of March, we have a few key things to preview and talk about. First and foremost, and probably the biggest news item of today, at least, is Amazon's announcing their Q1 2019 earnings tonight. The earnings come out at 4:30 Eastern with the call following up at 5:30. In terms of expectations coming from the financial markets, it is 16.7% global net sales growth and net income of $2.4 billion. That's growing at 40%. I think the real story for anyone looking at Amazon outside of just the financials here is there is some deceleration we're seeing on the top line as Amazon's retail business in their key markets, particularly the United States, is just reaching really, really high levels of scale that just make it tough for Amazon as a business model to support growth rates that perhaps we're used to in the high 20%. I don't think this indicates anything bad about Amazon's kind of company standing. I'd actually say that we look to Amazon as more of a maturing company here, and their operating income and net income figures being indicative of that. Amazon has reported, as I've highlighted on the bottom half of this slide here, 3 straight quarters of record-breaking operating income. So I personally will be looking tonight to see if Amazon increasingly extends that operating income and again just continues to evolve as a company that relies on a wide range of different business models, including its retail marketplace, to grow going forward. I think that the key implication here for suppliers to understand this is that Amazon is a massive sales channel at this stage in their most developed markets, and so really relevant to all supplier businesses, particularly when considering e-commerce. Amazon is a maturing company, one that increasingly has an expectation from their investors in the financial markets to be reporting profit figures. And while business lines like advertising and AWS are very supportive of those margins, Amazon is going to increasingly look to drive profit in all aspects of this business. And so things like higher standards of crap out or more emphasis on packaging shifts to lower cost there are increasingly just going to be an important part of all negotiations and conversations with Amazon's business model as they continue to look to, on the highest of high levels in the billions of dollars, report increasing income and profit for their shareholders going forward. I think also in recent kind of Amazon reporting news that's really interesting to us focused on the retail side of Amazon is in the annual letter to shareholders, which was published a week ago. Jeff Bezos revealed the actual share of dollars of Amazon's total GMV that is going to 3P. We've known for a number of years the total number of units that are sold on Amazon.com by these 3P sellers that are independently listing their items on Amazon.com. Amazon takes a take rate on every single sale and then tries to sell additional services on top of that. But we never knew, we could only estimate the total dollar value of that business. And it turns out that in 2018, while most quarters were reporting low 50% unit volume going through 3P, it's been revealed that 58% of sales dollars on Amazon.com are 3P sales dollars. This is super relevant because we're all wondering, what is the terminal value of Amazon as a marketplace in terms of their 3P share of total, and where are they looking to get to? Over the past couple of months, we've seen big headlines of Amazon kind of rationalizing their marketplace business, forcing many of their smaller 1P vendors that don't have high sales volume, or maybe their brand relevance isn't super important to the categories Amazon's focused on, over to the 3P side of the business to kind of lower the headcount and expense of managing those vendors in a traditional 1P retailer, supplier, retailer relationship. I think we only expect that to continue. Amazon is going to focus on key brands in key categories that are high volume for sales, really relevant for driving consumer traffic, really relevant for controlling kind of category dynamics and customer experience, and then is going to look to move pretty much every other partner over to the 3P side of the business, where Amazon experiences better economics as a business model and more profit, honestly, referencing the previous slide, because they are simply at the most basic taking a take rate on every single sale, and at more advanced levels of partnership with 3P sellers, charging fees for things like fulfilling and storing their items via FBA, or selling advertising to a 3P selling, or engaging with something like a new program I'm going to get into later known as Amazon Shipping, where they're handling simply the last mile fulfillment to shoppers' doorsteps for 3P sellers. So we expect this share to rise. Where the terminal value is, it's tough to say. But it is an interesting revelation and really important to everyone focused on the Amazon retail business. Additionally, emerging in the past couple months is a new estimate from Consumer Intelligence Research Partners. They do a survey panel-based poll to collect data and make estimates at total number of Prime members in the United States, as well as Prime member spend. They believe that this is not global, US Prime membership has hit 103 million individuals as of March 2019. Some of you may remember that the big revelation from 2017's annual report, letter to shareholders, that came out this time last year was, in the letter, it was revealed that Amazon globally had 100 million Prime members around this time, April 2018. So we felt for a while that this estimate, this 103 million back in March 2018, it was low 90s millions, seems a little bit high for a US figure, given that global was only a shade over 100 million confirmed. But nevertheless, I think the numbers are less important than the story it tells. And the story this is telling is the growth rates on this figure are slowing. Number of Prime members being added in the United States is less every single month, every single quarter. And to that indicates that in terms of the number of people that get some value out of a Prime membership and see it as worthwhile versus the expense, I think we're hitting some level of saturation rate here in the United States. So what that means is for Amazon in their biggest market, they're going to look to continue to upsell their Prime members they already have with just getting higher share of their total wallet every single month. But that can only go so far. And so what that results in is some of those slowing growth rates in the retail business. Not slow by any means compared to traditional retail, but slow by Amazon standards, and an increasing emphasis on retail growth rates and Prime member acquisition abroad. So look to Amazon to extend many of the programs Prime members enjoy here in the United States to more global markets around the world where they're operating. Also look to Amazon to enter more global marketplace markets around the world, and really try to continue to keep accelerating with new consumer bases that they're trying to tap into. Also, in a bit of interesting news, last month we actually, in our tactics segment, looked at Amazon's private label strategies and just their very, very aggressive promotion of their own brands on Amazon.com. They were doing things like on the product display page of a national brand, throwing up a massive banner ad promoting the fact that their Amazon Basics brand could be a savings item. They were in organic search results putting in carousels of their own brands, areas that were unaccessible to national brands selling on Amazon.com. This received a lot of media attention. It received a lot of angst from the community and at large, and it seems like Amazon has somewhat bowed to pressure, and we're seeing significantly less of this really, really almost predatory promotion of private labels on Amazon.com. So things like those banner ads, in my research and time on Amazon.com, seem to be disappearing. The carousels as well have been minimized or have disappeared entirely from the traditional searches they were in. So Amazon has backtracked slightly on that promotion of their own brands. I don't think this is to say that the threat is gone. Amazon looks at their own brands as a key way to control category dynamics, add margin to their retail business, because the market is a little bit more favorable for them. So they're going to continue to look to any way they can possibly extend their own brands on the website, but for now, promotion has backtracked, it appears. Moving over into the really important vertical of 2019, I think, for Amazon, healthcare. There's a few small, but I think really important and relevant moves that have occurred. Amazon has now launched a skills kit that allows certain favored skills to be basically HIPAA compliant, which is a standard around basically patient privacy. And what this basically means is that skills can be developed to share confidential patient information via the Alexa voice system. So this healthcare skills kits will allow patients to check status of prescriptions, send doctors secure updates, do appointment reminders, appointment scheduling, locate an urgent care center, receive the results of health readings from connected devices. The deployment is slow. There's a few skills that are kind of related to regional insurance agencies, health insurance agencies, or healthcare centers, but I think this is indicative of this only increasing, and Alexa, and by extension Amazon, looking to extend further their brand association in the eyes of the consumer with healthcare, and then looking to layer on top of that kind of a commerce element and actually sell healthcare related items, health and wellness related items as well, kind of due to that association and increased sales in the healthcare space, which is going to be rapidly growing due to population dynamics and ballooning healthcare costs. Also in that realm, Amazon has now made certain items on their website available for FSA and HSA dollars. And for our international audience, what that basically means is that FSA and HSA are accounts where you can contribute pre-tax dollars to health-related expenses throughout the year. They're really favored by many consumers and used for everything from doctor's visits to prescriptions to over-the-counter kind of healthcare needs. By making items on Amazon.com eligible for these dollars, Amazon's tapping into a whole new kind of segment of spend that they previously weren't involved in. We talked last month about how Amazon has major aspirations, first internally, then externally, to get involved in things like drug pricing and health insurance access through their Haven Healthcare initiative. This is just another kind of extension there as well. So I think the relevant thing for suppliers here is if your brands are at all either related or secondarily complementary to healthcare related categories, Amazon's coming for your category. It's going to be increasingly relevant in the eyes of your consumers. And so Amazon deserves the related investment and consideration that comes with that. In the hardware space, it has emerged that Amazon's Lab 126 kind of internal development lab is going to come out with basically Amazon's equivalent of Apple AirPods or the Samsung Galaxy earbuds as well. They're going to be connected, and it's interesting in that Amazon has had a somewhat mixed history with hardware. The Fire Phone is a famous recollection of many, a failed smartphone device for Amazon. This is an important category area. People are calling these things like AirPods almost hearables, so an extension on what wearables really are. And the idea is this makes, if Amazon can make it successful and get it into the hands of as many consumers as possible, Alexa, Amazon's voice system, even more ubiquitous. The more places it can be connected, the more access points consumers have, the more it's going to be utilized, and the more powerful a voice system will be, and the more relevant it will be to whatever share of future commerce goes through voice. And what is more ubiquitous than earpods that you wear on your person all the time? Amazon is likely to price these items, it appears from the rumors, below the AirPods price point. The one challenge to this initiative is that Amazon does not have a successful phone. So the seamless connection that Apple AirPods has with iPhones, for example, Amazon doesn't have that benefit. So it'll be interesting to see if the quality of the product and the price point is compelling enough for Amazon to get significant share here. But make no mistake, this is definitely a play by Amazon to increase just how ubiquitous Alexa is in consumers' day-to-day digital interactions. Amazon's shipping program is moving even farther and deeper into kind of its beta testing phase and extension, almost a soft launch here. It's now available in the greater Los Angeles area, Chicago, and New York, and parts of New Jersey. For those of you who maybe are unfamiliar with this program, this is Amazon offering to 3P sellers an option where maybe the sellers don't want to engage with Amazon's Fulfillment by Amazon program, where they send inventory to Amazon to store in Amazon warehouses. It gets a Prime eligible tag, and Amazon ships it directly to the shopper's door. Maybe suppliers feel like they have their own warehouse operations buttoned up. Maybe they are so high volume on Amazon that they are enabled for seller fulfilled Prime, so they already have that Prime tag, but maybe they want to engage with Amazon because Amazon can now offer them more favorable rates on last mile delivery, simply picking the things up from their warehouses and delivering it to shoppers' homes. So it's interesting to see this program extend farther. It is indicative of Amazon's deep investment in fulfillment and logistics around the country. It is one of Amazon's most fast-growing expense lines, and so Amazon's going to look to build out their capabilities to do some of these things like last mile fulfillment themselves to help their own expenses, but also to sell them externally to first maybe 3P sellers, but who knows what Amazon's distribution capabilities in the future balloon up to, and just how much their coverage might be. So it's interesting to see this program extend. Also in the realm of fulfillment, Amazon made an acquisition for an undisclosed amount of Canvas Technology. It's a warehouse robotics company. Amazon famously made the acquisition of Kiva Systems, which is now fully known as Amazon Robotics, and is a very recognizable robotic system to anyone who's seen a video of an Amazon warehouse. Canvas Technology just basically brings in some new relevant capabilities to Amazon's highly robotic warehouse systems, new security for human to robot interaction, computer vision sensors for better navigating different warehouse types. The idea is that the fulfillment centers can perhaps have some more dynamic robotics usage through this acquisition. I think the relevant point here is that Amazon's increasingly, again, focused on that fulfillment expense line and going to increasingly have more and more efficient warehouses. Suppliers are going to maybe perhaps get pressure in the long term for item compatibility with these types of systems, but the investments are there, and Amazon continues to look to advance and be the leader in how they run their systems and how innovative they truly are. In the realm of store-based retailing, Amazon has made a number of big moves recently, or rumored moves. One was the closure of the or the shutdown and lack of continuation of the Whole Foods 365 brand in favor of focusing on just traditional Whole Foods markets. Another is the rumored plans of Amazon to launch its own physical grocery chain that does not have the Whole Foods branding around the country and is a little bit more value oriented. The most recent news is that in Manhattan, Amazon has launched a small format Whole Foods market. It's called the Whole Foods Market Daily Shop. It's only 2,500 square feet. It highly features grab and go type items, prepared sandwiches, foods. There's a self-checkout system also available. This is just another iteration of Amazon looking to tackle the food category and perishables through physical formats. As many of you know, the Amazon Go store is highly oriented around grab and go as well. So it'll be interesting to see just what new store formats Amazon applies the Whole Foods name to and which ones they do not. Amazon's movement into perishables, into grocery, if your categories are relevant to that, it is clearly evident that physical spaces are going to be really critical to how they strategize around this. Also in the realm of Whole Foods Market, making a lot of news, Amazon announced price cuts at Whole Foods Market around the country. It's their third round of price cuts since the Whole Foods acquisition in 2017. It applies to supposedly 500 items. It emphasizes meat, produce, perishables, and also some prepared grab-and-go foods, like prepared sandwiches, 20% off. Amazon also at the announcement said that they will be enhancing the benefits to Prime members and launching double the number of weekly Prime member-only deals, so reinforcing that Prime value prop. But what is the true impact of this? I think the general consensus in the market is that the real effect here on the total basket size at Whole Foods Market, based on a number of different surveys out there, is actually somewhat minimal. Center store is highly unaffected by these price cuts, it appears. As it says here, it's kind of emphasizing meat and produce. It seems like Amazon is somewhat just seeking kind of headlines, driving additional traffic and driving additional Prime membership here. And so I think there's still a lot of rationalization for Amazon to do here about just where Whole Foods fits in their greater grocery strategy here. The acquisition happened in 2017. The reputation of Whole Foods as being overpriced and expensive and not accessible to your mass consumer continues to persist, and these price cuts seem more like a press release announcement than anything else. So it'll be interesting if Amazon somewhat utilizes the Whole Foods banner and platform to continue to go after and upsell the Whole Foods legacy consumer and uses this rumored new store format to really go after grocery in mass, or if they look to make really major changes and actually have some drastic shifts to how the Whole Foods shopping experience really operates. Looking abroad, Amazon is launching their advertising tools in Australia with a soft launch available to some suppliers. I think for anyone who is selling in Australia, this is welcome news, because The Amazon advertising landscape at the outset, the prices you see, you can gain outsized advantage, early learnings, and really great positioning with the Australian shopper on Amazon by being a first mover here to get on Amazon advertising and to invest there to enhance the positioning of your key items on Amazon.com. And so I think this should be welcome news. It's additional tools, and as you know, if you talk to any of your U.S. supplier counterparts or anyone from any of Amazon's more advanced markets, it is really table stakes for major brands to be investing with an always-on Amazon advertising strategy in many cases to make sure that the shoppers truly see their items and you get the conversion and sales dollars that are due to your brand in the category. Also abroad, Amazon made a somewhat major announcement to shut down their Amazon.cn local marketplace. What this means, Amazon.cn as a website will continue to persist, but it will go back to being what Amazon calls a Kindle store, basically only selling, digital ebooks and digital music files, things of that sort. Additionally, Chinese shoppers will continue to be able to shop for a variety of categories on the platform, but only through cross-border shipments from other markets. So what this means is Amazon is shutting down its fulfillment centers operating in China and shutting down any sort of local sellers marketplace in China. This means the Amazon.cn platform is going to be basically just a figurehead to some extent. Cross-border shipping that Amazon does cannot compete with the likes of what you get in your service offering from Tmall, JD, and other platforms. So this seems to be indicative of what we're seeing around the world, that these global ecosystems are challenged when they enter each other's market. We see Alibaba being extremely careful with their moves into the United States, not looking to launch a full marketplace there. And I would say Amazon's shutdown of their marketplace in China kind of indicates that the dominance of Alibaba, JD, and others there made it too tough a market for them to really tackle. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that evolves. But it also reinforces kind of our next news headline, the importance of India as a market. Obviously, Amazon seems to have somewhat capitulated in China, but are investing heavily in India as a growth engine for the future. We talked a little bit about Amazon seeing some slowing top line sales growth and looking abroad to really accelerate that. Look to Amazon to, as much as they can within the restrictions of FDI regulations in India, look to extend their presence and relevance in the Indian market, which they view as being highly lucrative long term as more and more consumers come online and want to shop a marketplace platform. The most recent news here is Amazon made an acquisition in 2018 of a platform called Tapso, which was basically a digital tools aggregator. It aggregated everything from ride sharing startups to restaurant delivery to ticket booking and flight booking as well. Amazon's going to look to aggregate all of that and the Tapso brand up into Amazon Pay and really create their version of what's known as a super app. The equivalent would be, WeChat in China. Chinese consumers can access a whole variety of services outside of just simple messaging and payments through WeChat. They can really, it's an all-in-one service offering and really, really popular there and drives a lot of sales volume. So Amazon's looking to create their version of the same in India in a competitive move against, local incumbents like Flipkart. Amazon's sell to all of the platforms that enter this super app would be, hey, we've got an audience of 150 million Indian Amazon consumers that we can easily give you access to in a frictionless way. So join us in this platform to increase your sales dollars. So let's look at our tactic here. And I know we're moving quickly, but I really wanted to get to this because it's really relevant and important for the coming months. Amazon's shifting packaging considerations. So first, kind of setting the baseline here, as we all know on the line, the e-commerce landscape has truly shifted the role of packaging in the retail value chain, where previously packaging was really about shelf display and helping with conversion. Packaging today is about even more increasingly about product protection, cost minimization, And then also a little bit of after point of sale shopper experience. So the shopper doesn't want to have wasteful packaging. Some D2C brands do a really great job with having packaging that reinforces brand values and delights the shopper. So packaging now has a different role in today's kind of consumer's eyes. And Amazon is a key contributor to kind of how that's developed and changed. And then an additional element of it, outside of the high level shift that we're seeing, the differences between store-based packaging, important emphasis areas, and online, is that it's a key financial area for platforms like Amazon and others as well. Packaging and shipping is priced on a dimensional weight basis. And I've displayed here some of what Amazon actually charges 3P sellers who utilize their FBA system. It's a system that looks at both the size and scale of the items plus the weight, and prices accordingly. And so how you orient your items and how they're packaged for the e-commerce channel is really relevant to how much it costs to ship them. But it's not just Amazon charging their clients. It's important for Amazon going outwards. Amazon faces shifting dimensional weight pricing dynamics every single year. Just recently, there was news that USPS, one of their key partners for last mile delivery, is upping some of their shipping rates on a dimensional weight basis. So really relevant as a cost center for these companies. And then when we look at that actually into Amazon's financials, it plays out. And I know that Amazon's fulfillment expense is the aggregation of a whole bunch of different kind of expense lines for Amazon related to their fulfillment centers and the employment of individuals. But make no mistake, packaging is really relevant as well for rising costs here. And what you can see from this chart is Amazon is in 2018 had over $34 billion in fulfillment expenses. But more importantly, fulfillment expense is outpacing net sales for Amazon as a business. So fulfillment expense is a ballooning line item from Amazon. And as we talked about earlier in the call, Amazon's increasingly oriented around profits. And so they look at this as extremely important to the success of Amazon as a total company, and something that they're going to always lean on going forward in negotiations and working with suppliers to try and get these costs down. Additionally, outside of the financial aspect, there's more of a soft element as well, and that's really the consumer. And Amazon espouses as a key value that the consumer is first and the most important point of emphasis, and packaging can result in some negative consumer experiences here. I aggregated a few different examples of when shoppers are upset with the realities of the packaging they receive. Either an item is too small for the box it's delivered in, there's too many delivered with it, or even more commonly, we'll see an item that's that's overboxed multiple times here. So on the far right here, you'll see an appliance that has its original packaging with branding and all of that you might even see on a shelf in a physical retail store, overboxed once, probably being shipped from the supplier to the Amazon fulfillment center, and then being overboxed again for some reason. Most of these examples are a little bit older, and so Amazon has made some real shifts, some of which are still yet to come, to try and prevent things like this from happening, because this results in direct public pressure and scrutiny, and the consumer's perception of Amazon is really critical to Amazon's strategic vision. And this is reflected, the strategic vision and the consumer perspective, in some of Amazon's initiatives. Someone only needs to go to Amazon's relatively new blog, Day One, and see that the vast majority of some of the headlines that they're highlighting on there are sustainability initiatives. Everything from instructing their consumers how to better reuse, repair, recycle the items that are delivered there, to making really broad sustainability claims, really sticking their flag down in terms of the shipment zero news from earlier this year, where Amazon pledged to be half carbon neutral by 2030. So sustainability is a high visibility risk area for Amazon, and packaging is just one very important part of that is a day-to-day interaction with their shopper. Amazon does have some programs oriented around lowering this. They're currently trialing a program known as Amazon Day. The idea here is that certain Prime members in certain areas at this stage can select a singular day of the week to have all of their Amazon packages delivered to them. The idea at the outset here is it's convenient for the shopper because it prevents things like porch theft. The shopper can be available for their deliveries and they all come at once. And at this stage, Amazon hasn't fully integrated or come over the fulfillment center complexities of boxing all of these items together into a singular, really efficient box. But make no mistake, long term, Amazon is looking to do that. So this is also a sustainability initiative to take a shopper's many different Amazon orders and have them come on one day and have only one delivery and the efficiency there, and also in a singular box. So sustainability is really key, and this is coming through in some of the programs Amazon's recently launching. But let's get to the idea of packaging and how this really plays in specifically. So Amazon fulfillment or frustration-free packaging certification is not new. Everyone on the line is probably well accustomed to it or has heard of it. It is a certification that's been around since 2007, and it's oriented on kind of two areas. One is the idea that the shoppers, opening the package experience should be simple and easy. So unwrapping time should be lowered, but also that the packaging is recyclable and protects the items in a better way in an e-commerce environment, which many store-based packaging setups do not. And then an additional added benefit for Amazon and for you, the supplier, if you're on the line, of some of these initiatives is that frustration-free packaging minimizes, in many cases, those dimensional weight ratios and lowers the cost for Amazon and in turn you to deliver these items, and makes e-commerce as a platform more viable. So what's coming up on August 1st? So basically, Amazon has these three tiers that have persisted for a long time here around just what packaging is. So tier 3, and this is still not undesirable, but is prep free, which basically means Amazon does have to overbox the item, but they don't have to do much else with it. They don't have to provide much additional packaging to it once the supplier ships it to their warehouse. Tier 2 is known as ships in own container, or SIOC. The idea is that the item arrives at the Amazon warehouse and Amazon does not have to overbox it. They can simply ship it right out to the consumer as is. And then finally, tier 1 is frustration free. The item does ship in its own container, but it is easy to open to standards Amazon sets, has minimal packaging, and has all curbside recyclable materials. And this is, make no mistake, a certification from Amazon. And what this rule shift is calling for is that by August 1st, all larger items, so items greater than 18 by 14 by 8 or over 20 pounds, must be tier 2 or better to move through Amazon fulfillment centers. What this means for all the suppliers on the line is essentially all items that ship through non-sortable facilities are affected by this rules change. But this could be looked at as a big negative for suppliers, but it can also be viewed as a potential opportunity to optimize for e-commerce and improve the brand in the eyes of the consumer. First of all, improve profit margins. Due to dimensional weight pricing and the fees Amazon charges, items can become more profitable with a more favorable packaging orientation. Additionally, the products move through Amazon fulfillment centers more efficiently, so you'll have more available product on hand, less out of stocks, and the negative effects that has. The shopper with frustration-free or SIOC packaging has a better customer experience. And then also the sustainability initiatives as well is also viewed by your customer, and it improves your brand reputation as well. When we look at this in our data, it shows that by meeting some of these Amazon guidelines, brands can save on average $1 per unit for the smaller items and up to $10 per unit for larger non-sortable items. So perhaps this is something that you should be doing even if you are unaffected by the rules change. And looking at some examples of this, national brands are already optimizing for the channel. On the left here, this Tide example was made a lot of press, basically making an e-commerce optimized liquid detergent container for shoppers. On the right here, we have Clorox, where shoppers are shipped the spray bottle spray aspect first, and then shipped just the Clorox detergent afterwards. This is good because the part of the packaging that is most likely to damage is only shipped once. You're not throwing out plastic that can be reused. It's sustainable. But this can be iterated even further, and what we've seen here is Amazon is actually partnering with third-party companies as well. There's a company known as Replenish that's focused on smart packaging, refillable, sustainable packaging. and they all have a container that they've developed and an exclusive brand for Amazon known as Queen Revolution. The idea here is the shopper is shipped once, a spray bottle to hold water and the spray nozzle as well, and then they're shipped this concentrated refill pod whenever they need it. And the idea here is the concentrated refill pod, you use the measuring cup to put the concentrate in, you fill up the required amount of water, and the only thing that's ever shipping to and from the shopper from this point forward is the Queen Revolution pods. This is really efficient, sustainable, and good for the environment, all of those initiatives. But make no mistake, this is also really minimizing and making efficient the supply chain aspects for you, the supplier, and for Amazon as well, and lowering those costs going forward. And then finally, you may have seen this news as well, and this is outside Amazon, but there's a packaging initiative, a coalition of manufacturers are partnering with a company known as Loop to make packaging that customers actually pay a deposit on and send to and from the supplier to basically get refilled. So on the far left here, we've got Haagen-Dazs has a double-lined, really insulated ice cream container that can be sent to and from and refilled with ice cream. We've got Crest mouthwash. We have a few different deodorant brands here. This is the ultimate sustainability, and the only reason I bring this example up is, yes, we should be thinking about getting our packaging frustration-free or SIOC compliant, but what are the ultimate iterations on sustainability and packaging development that we should look for? And then finally, just getting really, really futuristic, this packaging evolution that we're all going through here, it does not end with just sustainability initiatives. It does not end with frustration-free packaging. It does not end with minimizing dimensional weight pricing dynamics. Amazon has many, many patents out here. All of these are real Amazon patent diagrams that I put on the slide here that would directly affect the packaging requirements of some suppliers. Everything from the idea of if drone delivery ever takes off and items being parachuted into individuals' yards, using bodies of water to sink and float packages as a storage area. Amazon even has patents for underground package delivery systems. I'm not saying any of these things or all of them or even one of them will come true, but the idea here is Amazon is really future oriented and packaging is going to play a key part about that. So I think manufacturers can best situate themselves by aligning in a similar manner. So with that, I wanted to open it up to maybe one or two questions because we are right up against time. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly with the bottom email or the info@ascentialedge.com email. A reminder to everyone on the line that is sticking with me here as we go a little bit over, that the recording and PowerPoint presentation will be sent out in a follow-up email sometime early next week. So let's take a look at the questions here. So looking through, we have a question around Amazon's 3P marketplace and some of the things I alluded to earlier around their future evolution and strategies there. So what I would say to that point, and to kind of expand a little bit farther about what we were talking about, as Amazon continues to evolve and emphasize profit, the 1P relationship is obviously very high touch for Amazon. It's a 1P vendor manager and working with suppliers. There's ongoing negotiations. It is very much self-managed compared to traditional retail channels, but for Amazon, which has such vast inventory and assortment, it's high headcount and high human interaction, very kind of non-aligned with Amazon kind of views. And so I think they're going to look to align that aspect of their organization going forward around really just exclusively their high volume 1P vendor relationships with the key national brands that really dominate certain categories, and then move many of the smaller vendors over to the 3P marketplace, where it's a little bit more efficient for them to monitor them, police them, and they simply are basically taking a commission on all sales going forward. If I were to be asked kind of terminal value of that GMV figure we talked about a little bit earlier, right now we're at approaching 60%. I think long term Amazon does want to, manage it least a third or maybe 30% of this in a 1P relationship long term. There was a question about my point around Amazon extending itself into other markets around the world with programs really enhancing the Prime value proposition long-term globally. And I think some of the ways we will actionably see that happen around the world is programs like Prime Now, Amazon's under 2-hour delivery program that's available in certain urban areas. We're going to see that launch to increasingly more cities in international markets around the world. In the United States, its coverage is pretty comprehensive. It's also now delivering perishable groceries from Whole Foods stores. That's a program that's available to just Prime members, and I think we'll see in more international markets around the world. We'll increasingly see Amazon enhance fulfillment speed, so more markets around the world getting, not just the 2-day delivery speed, but sometimes, under 1-day delivery, depending on certain items. In certain areas. Increasingly, if Amazon develops and rolls out, more physical store formats, so we see things like Amazon Go stores enter more urban areas and international markets, Prime member benefits in terms of, pricing in those locations will also be something we'll see. So with that, I know we've gone over time here a little bit. I wanted to thank everyone for attending the webcast. I appreciate if you fill out the poll questions afterwards. Looking forward to tuning in next month and further discussing Amazon developments and tactics for the rest of 2019. Thank you.